Miami and Ole Miss put on an absolute classic last night. Obviously, we get Oregon and Indiana tonight to determine the participants in the national championship game. Brian Munson from Husker Online on 3 probably has some thoughts on the CFP. Also, Nebraska's got a new quarterback and have added some pieces around him. We'll debate that with Munson at 6:30. At 7:30, John Walker from the Omaha World Herald will stop in and talk about Greg McDermott's team. We'll get his thoughts on the Jason Green injury at the beginning of the game. Obviously, JG was able to come back into the game at the end of the first half there and play out for the rest of Creighton's win over Villanova. But where does John Walker have Creighton on the path right now? We'll debate that at 7:30. We'll take your phone calls, 402-951-1620. If you're one of those people that have been wondering where Brody Heidemann is, you can call and talk to him at that number. You can also follow us on Twitter at After Hours 1620. Don't forget to punch in for the night shift on YouTube and leave us your thoughts there as well. As I mentioned, Nebraska does have their quarterback. We talked about this a little bit because Anthony Colandrea had committed to Nebraska as we were going off the air on Tuesday night.
Yes.
And I hadn't had a whole lot of time to study his film because I did not think he was coming here because the Kenny Minchie of it all. That obviously turned around really, really quickly. And I have some concerns about Anthony Colandrea, and there's certain things I like. I'm gonna go with the things that I have concerns about. And Dan, you've heard me say this about quarterbacks, one specifically that San Francisco traded up in the first round to get from North Dakota State that didn't turn out so well.
Hi, Trey.
In your highlight film, if you're underthrowing wide receivers, I have concerns. If you're in your highlight film, you're underthrowing wide receivers and you're going to a wind-wrapped stadium, I have even bigger concerns. There's a lot of things to like about Anthony Colandrea, but I want to caution everybody to think about Dylan Raiola and his struggles to push the ball downfield this season and what it looks like when Nebraska doesn't have a quarterback that can throw into the wind. Now, that could be tapered off because Nebraska also got a guy that can throw crossing routes and out routes and can make plays with his feet.
Yep.
And they did not have that a year ago. The one thing I loved about Anthony Colandrea is he can make plays behind the line of scrimmage with his feet. Because we've seen what it looks like around here when a quarterback is too reliant on his legs and has to make plays with his feet, and that becomes the staple of the offense. It has never been hyper successful post the option era for folks in Lincoln when that's the case. And what I liked about Anthony Colandrea was his ability to keep plays alive behind the line of scrimmage with his legs. Because if you're talking under 15 yards, buddy, he's money. I really like when you combine that with the mesh concept that Dana Holgorsen likes to run. I really like the prospects of what Anthony Colandrea brings to the table. To anybody that is out there thinking, oh, we got a guy that can push the ball down the field because he did it against UNLV, throwing its Mountain West competition and throwing its Big Ten competition is a massive, massive difference. And a lot of those, quote, touchdown highlight plays that you see in his UNLV tape are going to look a lot more like those low-light film tapes you see in his days at Virginia because it was against a higher-level competition.
So I don't know if I would argue that. I know UNLV is a pass-happy offense, to say the least, under Dan Mullen last year.
That.
So the rate in which we saw him throwing the ball and also being intercepted, I think will say a lot. I think we're going to see, hopefully, fingers crossed, a good running back this year that we can rely on a little bit more. And I don't think Colandrea is going to be taking as many wild deep shots.
Well, he's not going to have as much time either. You know what I mean?
Which I'm great with. My only like base level concern that I have is he's listed as 6 foot and 205. Looks 205.
Yeah,
does not look 6 foot.
I think he looks closer to 220.
Really? No, he does.
Because how small he is, but he's pretty built, man. I do have concerns about him being 6 foot tall. I do have a concern with. But the great equalizer in that is his ability to scramble and run on the throw.
Yes,
or throw on the run, run on the throw.
Yeah,
throw on the run.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I think it's a nice compliment. Now, can he get out of the pocket and run away from Big Ten defenders? Gonna have to do that to be able to throw on the run, right? So there's definitely yin and yang to this. But the one thing that we're not discussing is the competition of it all. How much of a legitimate shot do you give TJ Lateef to win this starting job? Now, he started in this offense. He's automatically going to have a leg up in the competition just because he's already got time starting under Matt Rule and starting under Dana Holgorsen. Now, TJ Lateef has to stay in Lincoln. I think he's going to, but Nebraska's clearly not done. They're going to add another transfer portal quarterback. It sounds like they've offered a walk-on to a former backup at East Carolina. So you're going to see another body definitely come into the room. They're going to need it, especially if they want to make the quarterback run game as prevalent as they've discussed that they want to, because that's kind of what Matt Rule and I know things have changed, and there's Dylan Raiola and there's Dana Holgorsen, and you bring in Glenn Thomas. There's a lot of things that are different than what Matt Rule originally established. But when you look at what Matt Rule originally established, it's what worked at Baylor. It's what worked at Temple. It's a guy that can run the football at the quarterback position, that can control the clock and complement the run game while also complementing the pass game. What they haven't had is a guy that you can count on to run block and pass block at the tackle position. And we talked about this on Tuesday as well with Tree Babalade, and they added him from South Carolina. South Carolina graded out the worst Power 4 offensive line for Pro Football Focus in college football this season. The one guy that was not a problem was Tree Babalade. He had 250 drop back protections and only allowed 1 sack in said drop back steps. So
very good.
He also was a mauler on the offensive line when they were run blocking. I really like what he brought to the table. Now,
I know I saw a couple people suggest that we move him to a guard position.
I saw that too.
For some reason. And I loved unnamed media member from Nebraska who said he can play guard in the NFL. We need him at left tackle right now.
I agree. But here's the other thing is the only way I don't think that's a horror. Let me rephrase that. If Tree Babalade is playing guard at Nebraska next season, something has gone very, very right. Because when you talk about Lonnie Tesley's ability to recruit offensive line, now obviously Jeep Wade is the offensive line coach, but you bring in a Lonnie Tesley because of his ability and his connections to bring in other offensive linemen from around the country, and I really think that's what we're gonna see. If Tree Babalade is playing guard, it's because Nebraska was able to go out and get 2 to 3 guys that can fill in that tackle position, and he's going to be an emergency 4th option to slide into that slot if at all necessary. But I'm with you, and I think that Tree Babalade should be playing tackle at Nebraska. The only reason he should not is if there are 3 guys in front of him that are better to do it.
Ooh,
I mean, I think there's going to be some. I mean, Pritchett for sure.
Yeah,
I think Pritchett's the guy that's on top.
You still have to go get 2 more guys, in my opinion. Though.
But after that, I think who else after Pritchett? And I don't really know if there's a guy because do you think they'll move Brendan Black inside?
So his body type and the way he moves would dictate that with Jeep Wade's system, right? Yeah, because of the way they want to climb and get to that second level and complement the running back quarterback run game, right? So the RPO is going to play that. There's going to be a lot of guys that are going to be moved out of their comfort zone because I think Grant Bricks becomes really interesting as well. Now I hope so. He's got to stay healthy, and B, he's got to stay in Lincoln. But thirdly, it's how does he fit into this new system because it is less pro style, it is more RPO, it is more of a college system. And how does Dana Holgorsen and Jeep Wade complement each other? Those are all things that are going to have to be figured out over the next couple of months. And what does that running back position look like? Cap checks in on the night shift nest. If we've seen the Nebraska kid at Miami light it up at the running back position. We're going to talk to Brian Munson about Shamar Brown, Marty Brown down at Miami later in the show and get his thoughts on what the running back position looked like. He wasn't the only guy that at one time was, let's call it a Nebraska commit. Shamar Brown never was, but Kawan Lacey put on a show last night as well. Yeah, both those guys could have drastically helped Nebraska and definitely helped out both of their teams last night. But after the way this season unfolded behind Emmett Johnson, and listen, Quentin Ives looked really good in the bowl game. You had some pretty big sparks, specifically in that first half from the running back position. There is 0% chance this staff, that running backs coach, cannot go get somebody in the transfer portal. Like, you have to get a guy to replace your All-American, All-Big Ten level running back that is departing. Because last year, when he wasn't in the game, it looked like a completely different offense and it looked inept.
Yeah, it was very different without Emmett Johnson last year. And I mean, we've all been, I mean, I don't know about you, Husker Nation, but I pray every night that we get a running back through the transfer portal right now.
402-951-1620 if you'd like to talk to Dan, Jesus, and us.
And if Marty Brown wants to come here, and I do respect the fact that I know people probably have been talking to him, but he hasn't made anything known.
We're going to get to this in a minute, but I want to cut you off for a second, Dan. I'm sorry, because think about when he was in. Marty Brown's been in here and been on the show. We talked to him specifically because he committed to North Dakota State early. And I had asked him specifically when he was in here, is there any part of you that regrets that because the attention you're getting now from camps and the attention you're expecting to get in your senior season? And he said, I appreciate commitment and people that commit to me. So I decided to commit there early. And now obviously has a ton of success, ends up in South Beach playing for a national championship. But as simple as, well, we need to go get Marty Brown, and that's the answer because he's from here. You got to remember the process that it took for him to get to North Dakota State and then to Miami and not have Nebraska in the mix. And the way it was handled or maybe not handled in the offseason last year. To anybody that's out there going, well, they just need to go get Marty Brown from Miami. You know what? You should probably go get Derrick Henry from Baltimore too. Like, it's not just as simple as
Jimmy. You and I both know that Derrick Henry's too old to do this job anymore.
I'd love to have him in Lincoln.
But what I'm saying is I respect the fact that even if he has been contacted by anyone else, not excluding Nebraska.
He being Marty Brown, not Derrick Henry.
He being Marty Brown. He hasn't made it known at all that he is looking whatsoever.
He's got a pretty big game to worry about.
He's looking at the most important thing that's on the plate right now. He's messing with the steak and not the peas.
I just think that anybody, because there's just so many people like, we just got to go get the kid from Miami. It's like, yeah, it'd be nice. I agree. Probably should have got him when he was in high school. I mean, he was right down the road. But we'll get to that with Brian Munson. We'll get into exactly what happened last night. What is the Carson Beck effect having in South Beach? We'll get to all that and more. We come back to the After Hours Lounge right here on 1620 The Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. You know that men's team down in Lincoln, they're undefeated. You want to rep Nebraska the best way possible. Stop at Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. You know that the ideal spot to get all your Husker gear during basketball season. You can stop by during football season. You stop by during basketball season and get your Johnny O, your Peter Millar, your Cutter and Buck shirts, your polos, your quarter zips, all with the Nebraska embroidered right on them. Stop by 78th Dodge. Tell John, Dan, Monier, the Taylor, Deanne, and our good friends over there at Jerry Ryan that the After Hours Lounge sent you. It's Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. They've been dressing Omaha for over 50 years. It's 6:19 on a Friday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. Check out bellevue.edu. Register for classes and become a Bruin tonight.
Toeing the line with the Brump music.
Yes,
Dan,
we
Brody.
sure
Dan-
are. Let's go make sure that's edited.
Dan, you gave me a heart attack.
Yeah, me too. Did you see the look on my face?
Sab? Is that okay? Sab is fine to use, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We would just like to point out that there were no curse words in the opening bump there. Dan,
Spit.
Dan Kapanen sitting in for John Schneider. I'm Jimmy Allen. Brody Heidemann is producing the show this evening. We'd love to hear from you in the night shift. Go and leave us a comment on YouTube about what we're talking about. Give us a phone call at 402-951-1620 because we got to talk about that absolute masterclass of a game last night that was the first semifinal matchup of the college football playoff between Miami and Ole Miss, as the Indiana marching band is behind the college game day set right now, getting ready for Oregon and Indiana. The number 1 versus the number 5 overall seeds in a match of two Big Ten foes tonight. But last night, it just feels like the wave of getting older players and staying old and trying to win is not going away anytime soon, especially with Carson Beck kind of willing Miami not only into that championship spot last night, but obviously into the college football playoff. And his ability to stay under pressure, use his legs to win that game, obviously did the Canes a ton of favors. And I think the one interesting thing to make this topical about Nebraska, there's been all this talk about bringing in a clock management coach or an in-game manager to help Matt Rule. The note about Mario Cristobal for a long time has been he can't manage a game clock, and there's been so many issues. Miami hasn't had one problem specifically offensively this year managing that clock. You got to wonder how much a 7th-year senior has helped that.
Yeah, so watching it last night, I was kind of in and out a little bit just because of some other commitments that I had made prior to last night.
I need you to be more committed to this radio show.
But I will say,
Wow,
I came back in with about 3 minutes and 30 seconds, maybe 4 minutes left in the game, after probably cutting out mid third quarter.
Okay.
And I was like,
you came back for the good part.
Yeah, I did. I came back for the
Yeah.
real good part. And I was like, oh, well, I was like 3.5 minutes. Usually in college, used to be that it would be, oh, okay, this is kind of over. Congratulations, Ole Miss. You wrapped it up. And the drive that the Miami Hurricanes, Carson Beck, and Mario Cristobal pulled together
There's some money throws.
in that
there.
last 3 minutes of the game, I was like, all right. I was like, hats
Carson
off
Beck
to you
made
guys.
himself some money last night.
For
folks.
sure.
Can we just talk about it real quick? Let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. 100% pass interference on that last play, and you have to throw that flag in that moment.
Yeah.
No,
I think you do, Dan.
I don't think you throw the flag in that moment, though.
You do.
He
That's-
literally was touching him the length of the end zone.
I
That's
understand.
10 yards.
I also understand if the ball
No.
is overthrown, if it's a bad throw,
it wasn't hitting him right in the hands.
it would have been perfect. It would have
Yeah.
been the most perfect throw possible.
I'm willing
Chambliss.
to say he would have caught that pass
Yeah.
if that didn't happen.
Also, I love the fact that I don't know if anyone paid attention to this or noticed this, but literally same exact completion to attempt ratio for both quarterbacks. Yards are almost the exact same.
Script-
Averages are almost the
The
exact
script
same.
was in play.
Trinidad had the better QBR.
Yeah, dude, he's a dog, man. I'm really excited for what he's going to look like in that offense next year. The one guy,
Well,
one of the,
Well,
Yeah.
he's
Well,
not going to be there next
yeah,
year. For now.
yeah. As of today,
His
It was
lawyer's
denied.
gonna, injunctions
Yeah,
and whatnot.
he's spoiler alert. There's a lawsuit in place. What happens? The NCAA, cowers down.
loses.
He'll be there next year. Anyway, one of the guys, I guess we'll throw the asterisk. If he's not back, that he's not gonna have next year is Diego Pounds, number 61, the left guard for Ole Miss. I encourage anybody who is maybe an owner of an NFL franchise, if you need an interior lineman, go back and watch 61 last night, because your boy was putting in work. He was chipping and blocking and getting to the second level. Like, that looked like an NFL caliber, like experienced offensive lineman. And the reason Kwan Lacey was, and other than the fact that Kwan Lacey is really good, had a bunch of big runs, specifically on those big runs, 61 was in front of him
Yeah.
to his side. Like, that
Well,
dude is
Yeah.
that dude is going to be a franchise level left guard.
do you know who else looked really good last night and is probably going to get himself some money and get drafted? Prince Will.
Oh,
He
yeah.
looked amazing.
Yeah,
last night. And
he led Ole Miss in sacks and quarterback hurries
yeah,
last night.
he was all over. He was bull rushing the tackles like crazy. And I'm like, this guy, he's super slim. He's super able to get around the edge, but this guy was bull rushing. And it just surprised me. I'd never seen him do that in Nebraska.
Could have used him
Yeah.
in Lincoln.
And it was just, it made me mad because Nebraska big miss again.
Speaking of big misses, we talked about the pass interference call. I counted 3 false starts by Miami on that go ahead touchdown drive.
Yeah.
That did not get called. That right tackle moved every time,
Well,
and they didn't throw a single flag.
the Juwan Taylor effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got to find out a way to get that fixed. Miami getting ready to win its possible 6th national championship under 5 separate head coaches. And that obviously gets put into a category of its own. They'd be the only team to ever do anything of that same volition. But like, we're going to talk about the NFL playoffs later in the show and about Josh Allen and it probably a legacy defining game maybe on Sunday.
Mhm.
But how much does the narrative around Mario Cristobal change now, specifically just getting to play for a national championship, and even more so if they end up winning it?
So, I mean, I hope it changes for the better.
Yeah.
That's the one thing.
It has to. I mean,
Yeah.
guys playing for Natty now.
And I think so. I heard this earlier on the radio earlier today that all of Miami's national championships that they have come in the early years
It's crazy.
of one of their head coaches being down there. And it's wild because
a lot of that is because the guys that have won national championships before Cristobal also won them and then went to the NFL.
yes, but it's very quick that it happens. And it's the same thing that we always, say about those teams in Florida is your recruiting base is so hot. And also Miami as a place is just a very hot place to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the lure of being in South Beach.
The student section.
Yes, I have. I'm very aware. But I think the biggest thing for Mario Cristobal is it's going to show that he is someone who can actually do it.
Will he be the next head coach of the Dolphins? We'll find out. 402-951-1620 is where we'll go to you tonight. John, welcome into the After Hours Lounge.
Oh, Timmy?
Yep, still here.
Yeah, this is John from Omaha. I had a question about Creighton basketball this weekend.
What a pivot. Okay.
And, oh, no, I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead. You're fine. Fire away, man.
Oh, I heard Gary this morning, and they were saying, about Rick Pitino being in town.
Yep.
But, I mean, my thought was Gino Auriemma being in town is a bigger deal than Rick Pitino. And I was listening I don't listen all day, but I didn't hear a lot of talk between the 3 shows on the UConn versus Creighton women's game Sunday at the CHI Center.
John,
and maybe
I want to touch on that.
Okay.
What you asked about Gino versus Pitino, because I agree with you. I think Gino being at the Chi would be a bigger deal had Creighton not been in the Big East and Gino been at UConn as long as he has and been here as many times as he has. Rick Pitino to St. John's is still kind of a newer feel, and Gino's already been here 13 times.
But I remember seeing Gino at the Sokol Arena.
Right.
I mean, he's only been at the CHI 2 or 3 times now.
Right, but he's been in Omaha, so it's the effect that it's maybe lost a little bit of a luster. Listen, there's gonna be a lot of people that show up to that Creighton women's basketball game strictly to see, hey, that's Gino Auriemma just sitting there. But the residual effect is there's also the Pitino stuff about going out and jumping in the snow and getting frostbite, and he did wear the white suit one time to the Chi. So I think Gino Auriemma maybe carries as much aura. But the Rick Pitino feeling is still just a little bit newer. Like, people have been able to see Gino more than they have Pitino.
Well, I remember being at the Sokol Arena and the stadium wasn't full.
Yeah,
there wasn't a lot of Creighton fans there. So
I think both games are going to be really interesting. Hey, John, we appreciate the phone call. Thanks for calling in.
All right.
Yeah, listen, we're going to get to it later in the show, John Walker. But I think this is. If you're looking for the big ticket event, if you're one of those people in Omaha that just like going to events, there's 2 of them this week that just happen to be basketball games. We got to get to Brian Munson from Husker Online and On 3, get his thoughts on all the stuff in the transfer portal. Where does he think Dylan Royal is going to end up? We'll ask him that and more. Don't forget to head over to our Twitter page. Follow us at After Hours 1620. You want to know why? We're giving away $25 gift cards on Tuesday nights, whether it be to Brody Heidemann's haunt over there on 87th Pacific at Timber, or Merrow, where we gave away a $25 gift card to Tina Simpek last night. Or if you want to head out to Railcar 144th in Blondo, the ideal brunch spot in Omaha, stop by Railcar American Restaurant as well. Brian Munson from Husker Online joins us when we come back. 1620 The Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Williams Law. Listen, you hear Bob Williams come in here every week, break down big-time litigation things happening in sports. You don't have to be a big-time entity like a pro football player or a pro basketball player, work with a lawyer the caliber of Bob Williams. All you have to do is head over to williamslawllc.com tonight. Maybe you're facing a DUI charge or your son or daughter in a little bit of trouble and you don't know what their rights are. Bob and his team are going to sit you down and give you a free, no obligation legal consultation. They're going to explain your rights. They're going to walk you through your big day in court and answer all the questions you have to make sure that not only is Williams Law the right fit for your family, but your family's the right fit for Williams Law. Stop by williamslawllc.com and get a free, no obligation legal consultation tonight. 6:34 on a Friday night here on 1620 Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. Download the BU Bruins app to keep up to date on all the championship action happening on Bellevue's campus. Brian Munson from Husker Online and On 3 now joins us. Munson, welcome in. How are you?
What's up, guys?
Hey, obviously we haven't caught up in a couple weeks because of the holiday schedule. How was Christmas? How was New Year's?
Oh, beautiful. Weather was awesome. I have never driven a continuous drive like I did that day, the day after Christmas going home. We had to drive from North Platte to Lincoln to pick up my son's girlfriend, and then we drove Lincoln to Dallas. And it was 15 hours and drove the whole thing.
Yeah, listen,
it was a long day.
You kind of brought the warm weather with you. It was 61 on Christmas, so we appreciate that up here.
Oh. It was like I think we were watching the Hula Bowl. Yeah, we were watching the Hawaiian Hula Bowl, and I think it was like 2 degrees warmer in Honolulu than it was in North Platte at the time of the game. And I'm just like going, this is crazy.
What a time to be alive.
Oh, unbelievable.
Hey, before we get into what Nebraska's been doing in the transfer portal, I want to talk about the transfer portal market right now. You look at around the country, and Dylan Raiola, Nico, DJ Lagway, Sam Levitt, all 4 guys that are currently not without a home, but kind of top of the market, first domino kind of guys. What do you think we're waiting for the quarterback market to kind of start unfolding?
I'd say the rest of the college football playoff games to be played, number one. I do feel like there are going to be some fallout around that, where some guys are going to, need to slide in there to new homes. And I think some schools are still kind of sitting back, waiting to see what else is going to kind of happen as a result of all that. I put up a post tonight on the board where a new name to me anyway. It sounded like it was not a new name necessarily for everyone, that people had heard it before, that where I could see Dylan Raiola going. I have been, and I maintain that I still think that he could end up at Oregon.
You don't think that's too square peg round hole?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, if you really think about it in terms of, I don't think Raiola would leave for a lateral. He definitely wouldn't want to take a step backwards. He's not really looking to kind of go break the bank either. I mean, he's got $5 million plus in the bank from his 2 years in Nebraska. I think he's really trying to find development. I think he's really trying to find the right place, try to go in there and find that, get into the right fit to where he could get in there and have a ride into the college football playoffs. And obviously Oregon would be able to do that. I think it gets overplayed a lot about the mobility. When you think about Mariota and other quarterbacks that have come through Oregon and the mobility that they had, Moore doesn't have like these huge, rushing stats this year.
Right.
I think it's completely overblown. I think that Raiola, if he was given that type of talent, in front of him and around him, he could just sit back and pick people apart. It would just be like, shooting fish in a barrel. So I think that would be a great spot for him. There's no doubt about it, but we'll have to see what happens.
Obviously, when we talk about the running back game, Nebraska, I think we all probably agree that they probably need to get a guy through the transfer portal, correct?
I would say that they did.
Okay.
I think they're in a decent spot. I mean, I think we saw some flashes this season of some guys. I think we saw some flashes of some guys in the first couple of series anyway against Utah. But I think ultimately, you're still looking for maybe a guy that could take on as big of a role as what you had this last year, as Emmett Johnson.
When we kind of opened the show talking about the Marty Brown effect, and everybody's just like, well, you got to go get the kid from Miami because he's from Omaha, and it should just be that easy. It's not that simple, right?
Well, it wasn't last year.
Right? Okay.
I mean, I think it was supposed to work out for Nebraska one of the 2 years. It should have worked out the first year. But I mean, in talking to Marty last year and talking to people around him and stuff like that, it made sense to do what he was doing. He didn't have certain umbilical ties back to Omaha, back to, people coming to see him that he would have basically protected, if he would have gone to Lincoln being from Omaha. He doesn't have those types of things. He didn't feel like he needed to have, people in the stands every single week that he knew to basically go out there and have good games. But now maybe this is a different way of looking at it. Now he's making a run the college football playoff. He's going to play in a national championship. Now that he's kind of gotten that out, I don't know if anybody could step up and say, you're going to be, that the big carrier next year for us. I don't think that anybody could say that with 100% certainty, but I think Nebraska still has a model with what they did this year with Emmett Johnson. And I think that is still very intriguing to several people. And I imagine that Marty Brown's one of those folks who, would like to be able to be put in a position to go rush for 1,000 yards. I think a good personal year would be probably like the next thing that, Marty could probably see himself doing besides what he's doing right now, which is winning in South Beach. So we'll have to see what happens. I mean, obviously those guys are going to have a different window. They're definitely trying to accomplish some things that Nebraska, is not capable of doing at the moment. And good for him. He's looked really good the first two games that I've watched in the playoffs.
One thing we didn't get a chance to talk to you about or ask about was the Kenny Minchie situation that obviously happened last week when it's all signs point to a guy coming here, and sounds like his agent was telling Nebraska he was coming here, and then the blank check situation happens. How much was that? Was that as big of a catching Nebraska off guard situation as it seemed?
As what?
Like, obviously on its face, it seems like that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I think it was. I think that agreement had been there for a while. I think about the way that Minchie kind of goes into the portal too with the do not contact tag. That means that everything that was basically generated between, he and Kentucky came from the agent because he wasn't interested. He had what he was coming for. He wanted that starting possibility to go to Nebraska. He was getting a significant pay bump. His agents, however, just kind of kept the line open back to Kentucky, and then Kentucky misses out on all their quarterbacks and decide to go ahead and, do the desperate move and give them the blank check and say, here you go. So yeah, I think it caught Nebraska off guard. I think in some ways, I think Nebraska fans might be even a little bit relieved that kind of it all happened just because of Colandrea, and being the conference offensive player of the year, you do have somebody that's got a little bit, more known value, had some starting experience. I think that Minchie, the compelling story with him was, of course, that he narrowly lost out, from being the starter to CJ Carr this last year. Okay, that's all great, but Dad taught me, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. So let's talk about like what you're really out there doing. And then I think in talking to a really good source out there in UNLV, which I put in 3 and Out on Wednesday morning, I think that everybody should really feel good about Colandrea because I think that he has this unique playmaking kind of do it on the fly style. And I think he also plays with this energy and trying to get people to kind of come up to him. And I think that's something I'm really looking forward to. I think the most, just a guy that's just like a spark plug out there that's playing the quarterback position, that's going to get in somebody's face and yell and scream a little bit and get them going. And that's not necessarily been something I've seen out of Lincoln in a while. So I think it definitely caught Nebraska off guard. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this thing kind of plays out. I don't think that Nebraska could have seen themselves with the guy that doesn't have that kind of prototypical size, but he is definitely a playmaker, and that's going to be something very interesting to watch him do in Lincoln.
Well, yeah, and I think it's interesting for a couple of reasons, right? When we talk about Anthony Colandrea, is it as simple as he's the transfer portal guy, he's the starter? How much do you think they're going to give TJ Lateef the opportunity to compete for that job?
Oh, I think he's got every opportunity under the sun. I don't think Nebraska wants to deprive anything of happening there. I mean, if there's going to be a natural competition that's going to take place. I mean, because I think that, and kind of going back and thinking about my interview with my UNLV source on Wednesday morning, they will tell you that Anthony really hit it hard once he kind of got to Las Vegas, that he kind of flipped the switch. And when he flipped that switch, he really took it over. It became his team. And he was all about improvement week over week and trying to get input from everybody that he could. I think Nebraska, would be really foolish to just kind of tell TJ that, hey, sit back this year and just observe and watch. And, we're going to bring you along at a slower rate than just, plugging and playing you against USC after Dylan gets hurt and give you the next 3 games after that. I don't think that that's going to be the case here. I think TJ could come out there, however, and make things interesting. I think he should. I think the whole team could be better off by having that type of competition, through the spring and through the summer. But I'd also say, don't get as involved in the competition here as much as you are, trying to improve yourself and demonstrate the things that you do very well.
Brian Mutzer, Musker Online, On 3 Jones is here on After Hours. I want to ask about a really interesting situation in my eyes, and I apologize if I butcher his last name, but Andy Berbagia, the defensive tackle from Iowa Western, picks up an offer from Nebraska, and on its face, that would make sense because IWCC is obviously 45 minutes away from Lincoln, but there hasn't been this great pipeline from Iowa Western to Lincoln. Did that offer seem, I don't know, maybe a little odd to you, and what's the likelihood you think Nebraska gets him?
It's odd because there haven't been that many.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the worst. This is like the worst question that I get asked by so many people about, why there's no relationship between Iowa Western and Nebraska. I think the other question that I got asked this year so far, as far as the portal goes, was, how come Nebraska hasn't been more interested in some of the guys like from North Dakota State? I don't have a great answer for you. I don't have a great answer for either one of those two questions. I think all things need to be considered. I think that Nebraska has really unique geographic, ties to Council Bluffs, obviously when it comes to Iowa Western, but I think all of us also, they're probably, they're closer to the Dakotas than 98% of the other schools in the country, that they should have great relationships with those guys.
True.
And that those guys should feel like they can go to Nebraska and, from being a jackrabbit or from being, a bison or being whatever, and walk onto a bigger stage if that's something that Nebraska wants them to come and do. But I just have not kind of seen those parallels. I have not seen those things happen. And I don't have I don't have a silver bullet for you. I don't have a silver bullet theory. I don't have any of that stuff. I think that relationship has been neglected. I hope that for whatever reason they start getting around it, because I think Nebraska needs all the help that they can get when it comes to getting all the talent that they need in Lincoln to be competitive.
Could this be the Rob Orich effect?
Could be. I mean, Orich's defense is really fun. The couple things that I have had a chance to sit down and break down with him, it's, he didn't have that Alcorn Crowder defensive tackle that committed to SMU that was 6'6", 330. He had some smaller, more athletic, guys, and he would kind of chaos theory them, and he would kind of, line up a 7 technique at the nose and then run almost like this slant right, with the left side of the line, and then kind of loop or twist that guy all the way back out to the outside. And I think it really has to deal with more finding ways to be creative with the guys and the skills that you have, versus more just traditional. This guy looks like this guy looks like that. Put them here, and you run, basically 95+% of the playbook, the standard playbook that you typically would have written for kind of a 4-2-5. I think Rob has had to get into being creative and and ask guys to kind of do these exceptional things, which I think obviously then throw offensive linemen off and gives offenses a lot of things to kind of plan for and look for when it comes to all the movement, all the activity, all the big twists that their defense does. So yeah, I think it could be somewhat of an Ulrich kind of sign of what he wants to kind of do.
If the Bills lose on Sunday, Josh Allen's legacy is what?
Well, still wouldn't have won a playoff game on the road. That hurts. That hurts to say. I mean, this is the year. I mean, look, I don't know if I can answer your question, Jimmy. I'll be honest with you, because I don't want to see it end this weekend, because I think that Buffalo, they don't have as good a team as they've had maybe the last 3 years, but this group of playoff teams is a different group than what we've seen before. So I think if Buffalo said, the Buffalo killer in the playoffs has been the Chiefs or the Bengals, you don't have to compete with those two teams this year. You don't have to even compete with the Ravens. So if you now have got the Broncos, who you had to beat last year, and Jacksonville, but Jacksonville is playing really good football, and the Texans, obviously Buffalo, was fortunate to kind of get around them this year.
Well, just as we thought, there was two teams from the AFC South that make the playoffs. I don't think anybody had that on their. I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think Buffalo is a different team, and I think that they cannot come out on Sunday and give away the first half like they have done, like basically 4 out of the last 5 games that they have played, and then come back in the second half and just roll. They can't do that against Jacksonville on Sunday. And if they lose, then basically it's still in place that Buffalo cannot win a playoff game on the road with Josh Allen as a starting quarterback, and that sucks to say.
That's Brian Munson, who does not suck at all. And if you want to follow his work, follow him at Brian Munson _ on Twitter and at HuskerOnline.com. Munson, we appreciate it. We'll catch up with you next week.
Good talk to you, buddy. See ya.
If you missed Brian's segment tonight, check it out on our radio replay page on 1620thezone.com. It was brought to you by Controlled Comfort Heating and Air. It's cold outside. Don't let it become cold inside. Is your thermostat working? When you turn up the heat, does it kick on? If not, you got bigger problems than you want to admit. Head over to controlledcomfort.com and get peace of mind about your furnace. Let Tony and the crew come out, take a look at it, and diagnose the issue and not upsell you when it's not necessary. Get a team you can count on. Get Controlled Comfort tonight. We'll be right back. There's something definitely trending on social media. We're going to tell you what it is when we come back. 1620 Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Paul Davis Restoration. Seasonal storms are right around the corner. It's going to start getting warmer out sooner than later. I know it's been a little warm lately, but just in case you are stuck in a situation where you're starting to see water seep through your windows, or maybe you've had a little bit of damage leaking into your foundation because of the cold and hot weathers changing off this winter, you need to save this number, 402-553-0373. Whether it be water mitigation, whether it be mold, whether it be fire damage, Paul Davis is here to help. Save this number, 402-553-0373. Work with Paul Davis tonight.
Welcome back. This hour is brought to you by Bellevue University. Download the BU Bruins app tonight. And that right there, Indiana, a powerhouse. First play of the game. What do? Intercept. Well, I don't know if he's number 1 overall pick anymore. Dante Moore takes him to the house. 6-0. Now 7-0. Indiana. Google them. I mean, what else to say? That is just an electric start. Arguably the biggest
It's crazy.
game this season.
Is that this now makes this feel like a massive drive for Oregon, right? 7-0.
Oh,
Yeah.
College football playoff over the Oregon Ducks. And if you told Dan Lanning that his offense would have had the ball this often, this quick into the game, he'd have probably felt really good about his chances. Not exactly the start you want, but listen, I mean, that's just what this team has done all season long. Set the tone and set the tone and set the tone and set the tone. And they just smother you. I mean, think back to Nebraska's game back in Bloomington last year and how quickly they were able to jump on it on Nebraska and how much the quicksand just gave out underneath Dylan Raiola in that offense. And we'll see how Dante Moore in this Oregon's offense responds. They're marching down the field right now. They already passed the 50, but almost another very risky throw over the middle. But the Ducks able to convert the first down there. But the winner of this game, obviously, will move on to the national championship game to play Miami. And I can't remember if we talked about this in the 6:15 segment, but for the second year in a row, the SEC will not have a component in the national championship game.
Minus the fact that their last chance to have one was Ole Miss.
Yep.
And obviously, I was Mr. Riffin with Kiffin, can't miss with Chambliss all season long.
Well, think about this as well. The SEC champion has gone one and done in both iterations of the college football playoff.
According to Dan Lanning, the college football playoff needs to be changed and needs to be restructured.
Yeah, we need more ACC teams in, apparently.
Clearly.
I don't know why all Dans are so smart, but he seemed to have a good idea of just lengthening it out in the sense that just right after the conference championship games, jump into the lower level games.
Well, think about this. I mean, if Duke doesn't even win the ACC championship, Miami's not even in the college football playoff. So,
Virginia.
There's like, if you're the Cavaliers right now, you got to be kicking yourself a little bit. I mean, the possibility, like, I think this is more. I think Miami making the college football playoff championship game and maybe even winning it could possibly be the worst thing that could happen for the group of 5 teams, because this now gives the more kowtow to the fact that you need to get more group of or Power 4 teams in, because look what happens when this one scrapes up from the bottom. They go on a run.
I think it was just funny. There was a tweet from BYU running back Parker Kingston, and it was just SEC. It means more.
It does. It does. It means you're not going to make the college football championship, apparently. Indiana leads 7-0 right now over Oregon in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on in the game. We will not give you play-by-play, but we will
disseminate
updates on what
check
is going
on Paul
on.
Feinbaum.
Yeah, make sure he's doing okay. Check out any part of the first hour tonight. It was brought to you by our friends over at Recon Pest Services. Listen, it's getting warmer, and then it's getting colder, and it's getting warmer, and it's getting colder. You know what that means? It means critters are coming out of the ground. You don't want them to come in your house when the warm days happen. Head over to ReconPestServices.com and make sure you've got the right protection around your house to keep the unwanted guests out this winter. Check out ReconPestServices.com tonight. We buy or sell with Brody Heidemann. We come back at 1620 Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for AX Plumbing. Home or residential, they can do it all. They've done several things at both my home and my business. We had a wax ring go bad underneath our upstairs toilet. They were able to come out and get that fixed before there was any water damage done. Our main drain backed up into our house when we first bought it. We didn't know why. They came out, they diagnosed the issue. They water jetted all the debris in our line out to the main sewer. If you've got big-time plumbing problems, but not a big-time plumbing budget, there's also financing available on the website. Head over to axpservice.com. Get all of your plumbing issues fixed tonight. Top of the second hour brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. You don't become number one in Omaha for over a decade by accident. Head over to pyramidroof.com. Get a free estimate for your windows, your roof, your gutters, your siding. They can do it all. Check out pyramidroof.com. Tonight, we got a tie ball game, folks. Jamari Johnson just caught a touchdown pass over the middle in the end zone. The Ducks respond 7-7. And if this game is anything like the light we got last night, strap yourselves in, folks. This is going to be a fantastic Peach Bowl. Speaking of fantastic, Brody Heidemann is fantastic. Hair is back. I have a question. We haven't talked about this.
Okay.
Were you on the court in Lincoln after the Michigan State game?
Michigan State, no.
Oh, there was a gentleman.
Okay.
I rewinded back. I thought you were, and I rewinded back, and I went, maybe that's not him.
I picked up a shift at Timber. By the way, go over Timber. Amazing food.
Favorite thing on the menu is?
Ooh. Okay. I can never pick out a favorite because I eat all the food so much. But if I had to give if I have to give an answer of what I get the most.
He's just talking really well.
Timber pie.
Oh, okay.
Timber pie is by far the best. Sweet.
I'm with you, man. That's my favorite thing.
It's also got a lot of savory taste. It's a great pizza.
It's been a while since you've been here. You don't have to yell into the microphone.
Okay. I'll pull it back. It's turned up all the way. I think it's courtesy of Joey.
Yeah. Joey doesn't talk very loud, so that could be it. Famously.
Yes, that is famously Joey is
his radio
quieter.
voice is almost as bad as his mustache.
Don't diss on Joey.
Don't talk bad about Joey's mustache. It brings his face together.
Okay,
I love it.
what are we doing right now? Are we defending Joey Colbert?
I wish I could have been there.
Yes, I am.
That game, I watched it at the end of it. I mean,
does that make you a bad student? Do you feel like a bad student of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln right now because you were not in attendance?
I was there for the Creighton game.
Okay.
I cheered very loudly at the Creighton game.
For which side?
Who do you think?
Creighton. No.
Okay.
Well, what do you got for Buy or Sell?
All right. Well, in honor of me being back, I thought we'd lead it off with a question about my own school.
I want to reiterate real quick. Brody's not actually back. This is a one-off.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, we've been talking a lot about, the transfer portal, Matt Rule, Nebraska, and but it feels different.
Ooh,
it feels different. I don't know if it's just me, and I think I've talked to a lot of people. It just feels different. Buy or sell, Nebraska is going to win another offseason national championship.
So I'm really glad I didn't ask Brian Munson this question because I don't know if you saw this in my lineup. This is a question that I had for Brian, so I'm glad I waited. I'm going to answer your question with a question. I sell that they're going to win another offseason national championship because of the question I'm going to ask. Doesn't it feel like real bad vibes around Lincoln right now?
Yes.
There's something off, and that's why I kind of sell right now on the whole offseason national championship thing because it feels like spirits are down. I know Unsportsmanlike Conduct, famously, they do a number of polls from the end of the football season all the way until directly before the start where people predict the record. 8-4 or better is their cutoff for the best possible. And I think today they said it was at 5.3 or 5.4%.
It's the lowest it's ever been.
Wow.
Even in like pre-rules first year. So that tells you exactly how much confidence people have in the Huskers right now.
Now that the Connor Happer show is dead, RIP, does that give us the free reign as the show with the most poll questions?
I think so. And
wow.
Also, they closed it out today. Not one poll question.
Do we need to take their bid? We might need to take their bid.
Ooh.
Josh Otts at 402-951-1620.
Yeah, call us if we're allowed to steal your bit. Yeah. I would feel really bad stealing a bit from Josh.
Whoa. I think we got to have a conversation about that real quick.
Because that's your bit, right?
Lest you forget, they stole the top 5 from us.
Yeah. Fair.
All right.
Fair.
Eye for an eye, I say. What else we got, Brody?
Well, as we've been watching, Indiana, I mean, already hotter start than I think anybody could have expected. Knock on wood. Well, not knock on wood, but
not Indiana homer, huh?
No, but I'm just saying it's kind of don't want to jinx it, but we could see them possibly get to the national championship.
Already got a Heisman Trophy winner.
All of sports. I'm not just talking about college football. I'm not just talking about football in general. All of sports. Buy or sell. If they were to go to the national championship and win, this is the greatest turnaround of a team in sports history.
Sell. Because it's already the greatest turnaround of a team that we've ever seen. This is the losingest Power 5 school in college football history. And it took Curt Cignetti, I don't even want to say 2 years. It took him about 6 months to make this a perennial powerhouse. Now, listen, the NIL era and Mark Cuban's money has definitely helped out a ton. And this probably couldn't have happened in any other era of college football. This is undoubtedly unquestionably the greatest turnaround of any program ever already.
In all sports. Like you're saying
Agreed.
every single sport.
They could lose tonight and I would feel
All
that
right.
way.
Dan?
Yeah, I agree. Sel, this is already one of the best turnarounds in all of sports that we've ever seen. I don't know if there's really an argument for one that happened so quick and so well.
You know what?
Like the fact that like last year we saw the foundation being laid for what this is now is a little bit kind of eerie.
You know what I don't understand? And I've been saying this since Curtis Rorick was their quarterback. Why don't more quarterbacks in college football throw back shoulder passes? Like that's 90% of the staple of Indiana football. Like they run the football, they throw back shoulder throws, and they do it well. And they've been successful doing it. Like I just don't understand why more people aren't ripping this off. You seem like you disagreed with us buying on this.
I didn't really have a team that I was trying to think of, but I just thought there might be a team out there that might have went. I don't know, because I can't think of a team that got 0-16.
Can I put it for you in like layman's terms?
I understand.
No. Like, and maybe not you, but the perennial you.
Okay.
What if somebody walked into Wake Forest tomorrow or Purdue and in 2 years was in the national championship game?
Fair.
Would that be incredible to you?
Fair, yeah.
Would that be incredible to you?
Yeah.
Statistically, what Curt Cignetti's done at Indiana is more impressive than that.
Yeah. Okay. I think, okay.
And here's the thing
And
and maybe Wake Forest isn't as fair as a comparison because they're in the ACC and on paper they would have the easier path to do it. Maybe it's Purdue. But I don't. You want to know how impressive this is? If you go back and you turn on the NCAA video games from like 07, you remember if you played like 30 seasons, like Army would just randomly be a national powerhouse winning national championships at the end.
Yeah.
It was never Indiana. Like the algorithm in video games where it can happen was never good enough for it to ever actually happen. That's how incredible this has been.
True. I'm not going to buy or sell. We'll just say
we
that.
haven't talked about this enough on the show because John is a perennial Indiana hater, as you know.
Yes.
But it is, and the reason that a lot of people aren't giving them their flowers, two reasons. A, they haven't won a national championship yet, so it's not, quote, a finished product, I guess. But B, Curt Cignetti is just not a likable person.
No, he's not.
And there's just a lot of people that are rooting against this from happening or don't want to give it the credit they deserve because they don't want to see this guy do it.
True.
So this is going to sound like a weird take, but I think Curt Cignetti is a likable person. He's just not traditionally likable.
I think he's likable from afar.
Yes.
If he's not your coach, you probably can tolerate him. Like I think there's probably, even despite the fact that they're winning, he's probably rubbing some people in Bloomington the wrong way.
I'm not gonna lie. The attitude that he has every time just makes me go, ugh. It's like really annoying, but then it's like
he backs it up, man.
Yeah, it's like Michael Jordan or like Kevin Garnett, where it's like, oh, you're just gonna like sit here as like an 18-year-old teenager and trash talk me on an NBA court. Oh, but you just dropped 24 in your like rookie game in your first game as a rookie. So maybe I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It's like he talks the trash, but then he backs it up.
New poll question up at After Hour 1620. Is Curt Cignetti Michael Jordan? Yes or no? Let us know. What else we got, Brody?
The answer is no.
I think we need to take a moment and step back and realize the magnitude of what's happened for us three in this room. I got to leave John out
RIP.
because the Commanders suck. All three of our teams.
They do.
All in the NFC. All in the playoffs.
Congratulations to us and all
round
of
of applause to them.
We worked hard to get here, folks.
The 49ers.
Good job, boys.
Somehow made it with all their injuries, and now they might be healthy.
No, they're
the
not.
Packers,
Fred Warner's not playing.
The Packers are favorited as a 7 seed, which they should be. But
Favorited.
Yeah.
Like in a browser?
I favorite them every single day of my life.
They're favored.
Favored.
There you go. It's
I'll do them some
it's
favors.
It's versus, not verse.
Thank you.
Before you do that.
And the Rams should be healthy. Should. Keyword should.
Yeah. Matthew Stafford's still 90.
Yeah. Buy or sell, we see one of our three teams in the Super Bowl.
In the Super Bowl.
It's a 50. I mean,
so,
almost.
So this makes it really difficult because our three teams have a chance of cannibalizing each other now. If one of our teams were an AFC squad, shout out to the NFC bias in this room.
Yeah.
Man, I just got a really bad feeling Philadelphia makes their way back.
Really?
I'm gonna sell.
I know. So
I'm not buying the Seahawks. Maybe it's my hatred for that team, but
the only team out of the two of ours that I would truly say,
It ain't yours.
it's not mine. It's hard because I could see the 49ers just with the way that they play offense making that kind of a run.
Yeah.
And
See how they played against the Seahawks?
there is a young man who wears the horns on his helmet right now, who I think every time he touches the ball, it's like a guaranteed 5 to 7 to 15 to 20 to 30 yards. And that's Puka Nacua. If Matthew Stafford can find him and he just doesn't get completely and utterly blanketed the entire game, I think there's a shot.
Yeah, I hate to admit this out loud, but I think the best shots.
I think it is the
LA.
Rams, but also I think the 49ers, I still, even as a 49ers
Hater.
hater,
Who do you hate the most in the NFC West? The San Francisco?
Seahawks.
Oh, yeah, okay.
By a
Sorry.
mile. I can't stand them. But
That'll win you some brownie points.
The 49ers, I just think that if healthy and touchdown Indiana, if they make it past the Eagles, I think they have a good shot. I think that they could end up going on a run.
They've been there before. They've got a home game to start. They probably are going to have home game till the NFC championship game if they can win. Obviously, there's having that level of experience and the bad vibes where people are doubting you despite being the Super Bowl champion just gives them such an advantage, man. I hate to admit it, I think both mine and Dan's teams both get ousted in the first round.
Wow.
But it would not surprise me if the Rams, who have been there before with a quarterback and a coach that have had that experience, goes a long, long way, man.
Yeah.
And story-wise, I think it would be the perfect tip of the cap to Matthew Stafford to end his career with the Super Bowl win and on the podium just be like,
he would definitely retire.
Out.
Yeah, he would definitely retire.
Thank you very much.
Oh, he's retiring regardless. We could put this up as another poll question. Is Matthew Stafford the anti-Kurt Signetti? Or he's just the most likable person of all time?
I was going to say Fernando Mendoza's the anti-Kurt.
Well, there's something weird about Fernando Mendoza. Like his personality is just odd.
He's the nicest guy in the world.
He is. He's just very quirky, and I'm not convinced he's not actually a robot.
Whoever gets him next year, go and watch his Pat McAfee interview that he did earlier this week.
Any interview he's ever done. Yeah. He's a weird dude.
When he was talking about what his what's going through his mind after he gets the ball snapped to him, I was like, crap.
I would really
I was like, whoever gets this kid is gonna win 2 to 3 Super Bowls.
I'd really like to have Fernando Mendoza explain how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Every time he talks about difficult things. I want him to explain the most rudimentary thing and just see how much it sounds exactly the same. We got to get to our discussion, the rest of the discussion about the NFL playoffs on the other side of the break. If you missed this segment, check it out on our radio replay page on 1620thezone.com. It was brought to you by Controlled Comfort Heating and Air. You always want a guy in your back pocket. We got some guys for you. It's Controlled Comfort. I was in LA. I was 1,000 miles away from my home. My AC went down. We called a reliable source. We called Controlled Comfort. They came out and they replaced they didn't have to replace our AC. They didn't have to do any ductwork. They didn't have to do anything other than replace the thermostat on our wall. They didn't try to sell us anything. They diagnosed the issue. They came out right away and they fixed the problem. If you have an issue with your HVAC, call somebody you can trust. Head over to controlledcomfort.com tonight. How do we shake out the rest of the NFL playoffs the other side of the break? 1620 zone. We got to get through this really quickly because we got to get to John Walker from the Omaha World Herald on the other side of the break. This hour is brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Over a decade of being number one in Omaha. Doesn't happen by accident. Head over to pyramidroof.com, get a free estimate tonight. Really quick, let's run through the slate of football this weekend. Rams at Panthers kicks us off. Brody, who you got?
Rams, I don't think they lose again. I think they lick their wounds after last time.
Rams, but it's closer than you think it's going to be.
Well, yeah.
Panthers at home, cross-country travel. Give me Carolina to win. Wow. Packers at Bears. Dan?
It's going to be the Bears because it's a Bears home game. And I'm saying that right now, but mark my words, the Bears are going to win.
Dan or Brody?
I think the Packers win. I don't like the Bears at all. I don't like them in the playoffs. I think that Jordan Love just is better outright.
Just matters if the Bears actually play defense.
Yeah, true.
It is the Bears' year. Next year.
Okay.
This year sets up what Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams are able to pull off, put together, build off of, and continue into next season in a way that gets Chicago on a run maybe we've never seen from that franchise. But Green Bay wins this game. The Bills at the Jags. Dan?
So Jacksonville has been getting hot lately. And the Bills have this weird thing where they play really well in their own climate and environment in the playoffs. I think the Jaguars have this one.
Brody?
I love Liam Cohen. I think that he's a really good head coach. I think Trevor Lawrence is hot. And I don't think that Josh Allen
is it his hair?
Enough. Yeah, I think it's the hair. I honestly think it's the hair.
He's going to cut it one day and it's going to be like Samson.
I kind of alluded to this with Brian Munson. This is a career-defining moment for Josh Allen. And how have all of those gone up until this point? Not well.
Bad.
Siri, thank you for chiming in. I think Jacksonville wins this game. My 49ers at Philadelphia. We kind of alluded to it. I think we all have the Eagles correct.
I think the 49ers.
San Francisco.
I think 49ers win.
I'm on the Niners train against the Eagles. I don't like what their defense has been giving up recently.
I hope I'm wrong. Chargers at Patriots, Dan.
Oh, okay. So this is going to sound crazy. I think the Patriots in the playoffs are a bit of a fraud. Give me the Chargers.
I think we might all agree. I don't think that the Patriots have played anybody, and if they have, they've played them way too close. I think that Harbaugh is going to kind of expose Drake May. Give me the Chargers.
That's who I have as the defining piece in this game. It's Jim Harbaugh. Give me the Chargers to upset New England on the road. And somehow this is the Monday night game. I don't know how you didn't flex this out, but Texans at Steelers, Dan.
This is going to be a very trash can playing a trash can kind of game. I think.
You know who's going to lose this game? Anybody that watches.
Yeah.
So I will be losing. You know what? In a coin flip toss up, give me the Steelers. I like their defense a lot more than I like the Texans defense.
I think the Steelers are just. I think A-Rod's a lot more experienced in the playoffs. I think Mike Tomlin's kind of trying to. I don't know why he was ever on the hot seat because he wasn't really on the hot seat. There's the fans didn't like him.
I'm not convinced he's still not.
And I think that he's going to win. Kind of take all that attention off that.
Give me the younger team with a quarterback that can make plays with his legs. Give me Houston to pull off the upset in Green Bay. I've got 5 of the 6 games going the way of the away team. It'll be interesting to see if that shakes out. It'll be interesting to see what John Walker has to say on the other side of the break. We're talking about the Jason Green injury and how that could have a long-term effect. We'll get his thoughts on Zuby Ejiofor and St. John's and a whole lot more as the After Hours Lounge rolls on. If you missed this segment, you want to be the best dressed Blue Jay at the Chai tomorrow, you can stop by Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. They brought you this segment tonight. They have the best in Creighton men and women gear. You can stop by and get Johnny O, Peter Millar, stuff that's going to go into the wash machine, come out the exact same way of the dryer. You don't got to worry about it stretching or fading. Billy Blue Jay right there on the lapel as well. Head over to Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. They've been dressing Omaha for over 50 years. We'll be right back. John Walker from the Omaha World Herald joins us 1620 The Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Railcar. 144th and Blondo is the place for you to be at, whether it be brunch, Saturday and Sunday mornings, the premier brunch spot in Omaha. Or if it's primetime rib, Friday or Saturday night. That's right. You can stop at a Railcar right now, grab a primetime rib and 2 sides to enjoy your date night with $2 off all wines in the entire place as well. Stop by Railcar tonight. Friday night here on 1620 The Zone as the college football playoff rolls on. Having some difficulties getting a hold of John Walker, so we'll just kind of jump into some Jays discussion here. Kind of open the show up before with it by default by accident, but I guess we can get into it now. And if John gives us a call, John, if you're listening, 402-951-1620, or if any of you would like to join in on the conversation, we'd love to have you as well. Jimmy Allen, John Schreiner, not here tonight. Dan Campion sitting in for him. Brody Heideman is sitting in for Dan Campion tonight. Creighton gets a must-win game over Villanova after having a massive lead over Seton Hall and letting that slip through the cracks and snatching defeat from the jaws of victory and not hitting a field goal between the 8-minute mark and the 2-minute mark in that basketball game against Seton Hall did not help. Jays respond offensively after a road trip to Villanova. They stayed out. They left New Jersey and headed to Philadelphia, and they stayed in Philadelphia. They practiced at Temple, and I think that helped a ton because talked with Alan Huss on the Roll Jays podcast immediately following the Seton Hall loss, and he took a lot of the credit for the offense. And listen, it's not all on the coaches, it's not on the players, combination of both. But they clearly got something clicking against Villanova. Mm-hmm. But I specifically asked Coach Huss, who obviously is the head coach and waiting behind Greg McDermott, and said, I knew the answer to the question, but I wanted to get his thoughts. And I said, how much does being on the road for this stretch kind of help this team regain focus? And he said, well, not at all, because it's really easy to encourage a team coming off of a win heading out on the road when you're in the middle of the grind and you're obviously a little bit behind the 8 ball as far as qualifying for March Madness. And there's been some bad vibes around this program at the beginning of the season. They've clearly figured things out since then, but they clearly were able to rein everybody in. And obviously the adjustments this team has made since the beginning of the season with Nick Graves moving to the bench and Ty Davis's energy being an infusion into this offense, I think has helped a ton. He's clearly not ready to handle being a Big East starting point guard for 20-plus minutes a game. But I think him starting games and being the energy and effort guy on the court has regrouped and re-energized Nick Graves specifically. And that kid they brought in from Miami that wears number 1 is a dog. Austin Schwartz is absolutely – I think this team – and I'm going to use the word split, but I don't mean it in the way of splitting the locker room or dividing. I think this team has kind of been split into 2 fashions where Josh Dix brings everything you need from a defensive presence on the perimeter, and Jason Green, when he's healthy, obviously, has been that guy inside the paint. Now, both of those guys have some pretty big gaps to fill as far as productivity on the defensive side of the ball, but complementary to that, and this is the split I was referring to, Austin Schwartz has given you that other gear offensively, because the one thing this Creighton team lacked at the beginning of the season was athleticism.
Yes.
And Austin Schwartz has that out the wazoo. I think he's underrated as an athlete. I don't think he gets to the rim enough. Nick Graves was doing this really weird thing at the beginning of the season where he was just so adamant on drawing fouls. He wasn't hunting the correct shots. And that is a not understanding the system thing, not a Nick Graves thing. The angles in which Creighton cuts at and where you got to put the ball in situations to find the extra pass to the open shooter in this offense is so complex that at times you just get lost on the floor. And I think when Nick Graves got lost, he just panicked and immediately was like, let me try to get to the foul line here, and just doing too much, where when you're the point guard in Greg McDermott's system, if you know where guys are going to be cutting at, and if you know where open shooters are going to be, you just have to let the offense run itself and direct everybody around you. Now, asking somebody to come in with one off season and be a 26-plus minute player as a starter in that role is a ton to ask. Stephen Ashworth, who played 3 years of college basketball at Utah State in a similar system, couldn't do it in year 1. Nick Graves is coming in from Charlotte, which is a half-court set. Don't play in transition. You got to create your own shots and hunt for what you need and not let the offense facilitate to you. So I think Nick Graves not starting and not having to be the tempo guy and set the bar and be the guy actually facilitating the offense out of the gate has helped him relax mentally and allowed the rest of the team to rally around Ty Davis. So anybody that wasn't following the Roll Jays podcast or any of the recruiting stuff during the offseason, whether it be Austin Schwartz, whether it be Blake Harper, Nick Graves, either one of the guys from Iowa, the 2 guys that everybody that came into this program in the offseason that talked to the media brought up, Ty Davis and Jackson McAndrew. Yeah. And this is not a slight to Jackson. I don't want it to come off that way because it's just not who his personality is. But Ty does a lot of the talking for both of those guys. If you've ever talked to both of them together or separate, it's very apparent who who the mouthpiece for those two guys is, and that's just because Jackson's more of a tight reserve. He's not socially awkward. He's an introvert.
Yeah, he's not. It's going to sound weird to say, but he's not the one especially when you see him on the court, you will, in basketball, you'll catch guys trying to like rile him up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And trying to like get in his craw and try to dig at him a little bit to see if they can kind of get him a little bit rattled and get him off his game.
Doesn't happen.
And it's like, even when he scores, it's like blank face, blank slate. Where Ty Davis is the one who will go up to him and he'll jaw with you.
I mean, look what happened in who are they playing? The Marquette game where he was standing outside of the huddle, things like that. But I say that to say this, like there was a built-in trust with Ty Davis. And tweet at me, Jimmy Allen 07, about his plus and minus, or talk to me about how different it looks when he's on the court from a handling the ball standpoint and athleticism standpoint. But that team and those guys trust him adamantly. And he's definitely not a liability out on the court. I don't want to say that. He's obviously just got a long way to go to be a Big East starting point guard. I don't think that doesn't mean that what we're seeing this year can't pay dividends. Now, obviously, we don't know how long Greg McDermott's going to stick around. There's a lot of people that believe this is his last year. Mac has talked about maybe coming back next year. I just find it really hard to believe you have Alan Huss come back to not hand him the reins next season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Alan Huss being in charge of this team may be the best thing that's going to happen to Ty Davis if Ty Davis is still here next year, and obviously Huss gets the head coaching job, because Huss demands more out of people from an accountability standpoint. I'm not saying that Mac doesn't hold people accountable. Huss is just more adamant about it.
Yeah, it's a different way.
A little more animated about it, if I'm being honest. But listen, it's just two different coaching styles. But Greg McDermott's more reserved and lets his coaches coach and his players play, as to where Huss is a little more demanding out of guys, not only in practice, but in the game and vocal about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that'll help Ty Davis a ton. Now, I think that he can absolutely take that jump organically, as we've seen many point guards in Greg McDermott's system take. But Alan Huss getting more of his hands on this offense, I think, is going to help specifically the point guards from a fast track standpoint. Because nobody's going to sit here and say Greg McDermott doesn't know how to coach point guards. See his track. Google him. That's not what I'm saying. I think this is more a personality thing versus a coaching thing that I think will kind of springboard those guys that are in that room.
Well, and I do like the way that, to use a bad term for a very good thing that they're doing, they're kind of spoon feeding Ty Davis into becoming a starting point guard in the Big East,
as to where they made Nick Graves drink out of a fire hose. Yeah,
and they're giving him a chance to.
You disagree?
Fail?
I think it's a great way to put it.
And also to like rise to the occasion, which he has multiple times.
Well, and I think for anybody that's a naysayer of Ty Davis, I don't know how this turned into the Ty Davis apology tour, but for anybody that's a naysayer for Ty
Probably
Davis,
because Ty Davis deserves an apology tour after the slander that he had to kind of be around all offseason.
But hold on, because he's got some growing pains, and there's some things that Ty admittedly himself would tell you he needs to improve on or understand as Indiana takes a 21-7 lead in the college football playoff. But the thing is like, think about how Ty Davis performed not only in the Big East tournament in Madison Square Garden last year, but also the NCAA tournament, where he played really well in one of those games, not necessarily the other, but he showed up in the bigger moments. And I think anybody that wants to see Creighton succeed can understand and appreciate guys showing up in those moments. And now he's got some stuff to fix and be better. I'm not saying that he's this perfect polished point guard or that he's even ready to be a full-time starting point guard at Creighton. But if he comes back next year, that Creighton team becomes a little more intriguing, doesn't it? You've got Ty Davis, Jackson McAndrew, Austin Swartz, another year with Fedor Zugic. You've got Kerem Conan coming back in another year of American basketball. Aleska Dimitrievich, who is definitely not ready this year, but is a legit 7'1" guy that could really use another year in a college weight program, and probably eating a little bit more and getting ready, like we just talked about with Kerem, to the not only the Big East but American style of basketball, and taking another step forward. And the transfer portal ends up opening back up, and you see Blake Harper getting better this season. Like, I know people don't want to hear it because there was this all-in push for McDermott this year, and maybe getting Mac to a Final Four. Listen, there's a lot of things going to have to be done in New York for this team to get to the tournament, even if they go on a run from here on out. But I think the prospects of what this team looks like next season becomes even more intriguing, especially if you can get Jackson McAndrew back, and I don't think he's going anywhere.
They got a lot of freshmen coming in too. They have Harmon.
Yeah.
Why am I
Nicole
drawing-
Harmon's a
Why am I drawing a blank on the other guy's name?
uh
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Another good, solid player, and then they have a chance. Well, we'll see. A 5-star still on their board.
in the way. Yeah, listen, I think Jaden Coons is probably who's the other guy you were talking about.
Yeah,
It's probably a red shirt type situation.
yeah,
It's going to be really hard to see where this team recruits the high school portal at, especially with the unknowing of what Mac's going to do, right? And
Mhm.
you're obviously with Control Harmon, like don't make any bones about it. That's an Alan Huss, a Trey Ziegler, full
That's a
court
pick.
press to
Yeah.
go get him. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's definitely that aspect of it, but I just think it's going to be really intriguing how they handle the high school recruits, because that's more Mac's preference, where like a lot of the guys, like the Karam Conons, the Aleska Dimitroviches, those are definitely Alan Huss guys too. So it's going to be interesting to see how much those two things change as the transition happens. If it happens this year, maybe it doesn't. Apparently, we're not going to get John Walker. Maybe we'll call in. He'll give us his thoughts to wrap up the show. But we'll give you our closing arguments on the other side of the break. When we come back, if you missed this segment, check it out on our radio replay page on 1620thezone.com. It was brought to you by Paul Davis Restoration. Listen, the holiday season just came to an end, and maybe you were unfortunate enough to have your holiday dinner turn into a holiday fire. If there's still smoke damage in the house, or if you have mold mitigation from the fire department coming out, you need to have it handled. Call 402-553-0373 tonight. Work with Paul Davis Restoration. We give you our closing arguments to wrap up the show, update you on the college football playoff, and say goodbye on a Friday night when we come back. 1620 Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Recon Pest Control. We just talked about the importance of having guys on the basketball court you can trust. You know what else you need? People in your home you can trust, and you can trust Recon Pest Services. I can tell you from experience, this summer we had 2 other pest control services come out and spray our yard around our house for wasps. You know what happened? 1-2 days later, there were wasps back in our yard. Recon Pest Services came out. They treated our yard. We haven't seen a wasp since late May. If you want somebody you can trust and somebody you can count on, head over to ReconPestServices.com tonight. Shut her down on a Friday night here at 1620 The Zone. Jimmy Allen, Dan Campen, and Brody Heidemann with you here tonight. It's time for our closing arguments, courtesy of Bob Williams. This hour is brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. You don't become number one in Omaha for over a decade by accident. Head over to pyramidroof.com and get a free estimate for your windows, roofs, gutters, and siding tonight. As I mentioned, time for our closing arguments. We will all address you, the jury, with our final closing argument of the night. To give you our best hot take, we'll put a poll up on Twitter. You can vote for whoever had the best take. Whoever had the worst take will get the fewest amount of votes. Dan Campen, close it out.
Oh, I got to go first. All right.
Ooh.
If you haven't yet, I would encourage you, any person out there in Radio Land, get you some tickets
Ooh.
to the Omaha Super Novas.
Thought this was a promotion for Disney on Ice.
No, it is not. 3 sets to none.
Google how much those tickets are.
I bet you know all too well.
I do.
3-0. 3 sets to none victory over the San Diego Mojos to start off the season last night. And Sydney Hilly is back in her old Supernova form once again. Brooke Nunviller, still one of the greatest volleyball players on that team.
Great last name, too.
And there's a gal, you might remember her. She's near and dear to everyone in Nebraska's hearts by the name of Merritt Beeson.
Baller.
She is here and she is killing it. Also, not to mention Sarah Wilfie Parsons, Janice Leo, and of course,
We don't need the whole roster, Dan. Wrap it.
Elise Goetzinger.
Brody.
Those are all the people who started last night,
Well,
if you wanted to know.
my argument, I don't know if it's really an argument,
Oh, okay.
but
Just a hot take.
college is fun.
Oh, it could be an
And
argument. It is
It's-
debatable.
yeah, well, okay. And
Depends
it's fun
upon
in a
who you
different
ask.
way. I think it's fun in the fact that a lot of the things that I have learned here are helping in college. I
You've
told
been
Dan
able to
before the
apply
show.
it to the real world.
Yeah. So Dan, before the show, I was telling him. So I was doing this thing for the radio station, for the student radio station down there, and I went in and shadowed. And there's all these big old boards that are radio boards, almost
Maybe-
like radio boards.
Maybe a little outdated.
And everyone's like, "How do you use this thing? What is this thing?" I'm like, "This thing looks easy." Literally every single thing there was easy, understood it. And I thought that I was like, if I came in with this and I saw this thing, I'd be like, yeah, this is confusing.
Pretty intimidating. Sure.
Yeah, but it was great. But also a lot of things ahead. So stay tuned, possibly future endeavors.
Better or worse than you thought it'd be? College.
We'll go middle ground.
Middle ground.
Middle ground.
Challenging enough.
Yes.
Like it.
Speaking of challenging, you know what you shouldn't do? This is my advice to anybody ever. If you see a person of fame, there's a famous person out and about, do not walk up to them with your cell phone in your hand and ask them to sign something. I don't care who. I don't care.
Fair.
If me, Jimmy Allen, the reason I fell in love with football is Jerry Rice. If Jerry Rice happened to be across the street at the Buchanan's gas station on 50th and Dodge, I would there's not a bone in my body that would go, I need to go up and ask him for an autograph right now. I would probably give him a wave. If he was taking photos with other people, I may indulge. I've never been that guy. If you see a boxer like Tank Davis just out and about at the gas station,
Oh, no, don't do that.
and he gives you a fist bump, you've already won. Walk away. You don't need
Yeah.
anything else. You don't need to ask him to sign your Holiday Inn pamphlet that you took from the hotel you're staying at. Don't be that person. I don't care who it is. I don't care how famous they are. Craig Robinson literally ran into me at the Madrimov Crawford fight. You know what I said? Hey, no problem, man, and walked by him. It's like, hey, Daryl from The Office just ran me over walking into a bar. I didn't bother him. Don't bother them. They're just people out and about in the world. And if they're not doing something like an autograph signing, don't bother them. That's just a public PSA for anybody out there. If you missed any of the show tonight, it was brought to you by Bob Williams of Williams Law. If you want a free, no obligation legal consultation, maybe you bothered a celebrity and they punched you in the face. You probably deserved it, but if you need somebody to defend you from it, Bob Williams would be happy to do so. 402-522-6317 over at WilliamsLawLLC.com and get a free, no obligation legal consultation tonight. For the returning Brody Heidemann, the prodigal son has come back tonight. For the always professional, never late, and always delivering Dan Campen, I've been Jimmy Allen. Thanks for joining us tonight. Happy National Apricot Day, everybody.
There's no apricot bowl, but there is a peach bowl.